you say your program is not for alcoholics.
That's right.
It's for people who are drinking to avoid withdrawal symptoms or believe you are addicted. So that's interesting to me because I feel like, if you're putting this out there, right, a lot of alcoholics, that's kind of your audience. And when they reach out to you, how do you deal with alcoholics then?
So alcoholics, I would actually what I say is that if alcoholics want to look at any of the free content I put out there, certainly I'm sure the podcast can be of help to them. Absolutely. But I'm not a doctor. I'm very conscious I'm not a doctor. And I don't want to get into the realms of saying, well, this is what you should do, because if you are drinking to really avoid withdrawal, then that's a whole other ball game. And I'm the first to say, I'm just not qualified to deal with that. So I would say, by all means, use my content, do master classes and things. Absolutely. And if something resonates, that's brilliant. But I really don't want to get into the point where somebody, I feel that they would be relying on me to help them, and I'm just not qualified, because that is a total kettle of fish. I'm on about the people like who I was, who just finds that they just get sick and tired of drinking when they really just don't want to. So that's really very much my audience.
Well, no, that makes sense. If you're not qualified to help people, probably shouldn't help them. I think it sounds as easy as it is, but there's a lot of people out there who's like, no, I'll help you regardless. But do you think, because that's a big part of your business, do you think you would want to eventually reach out and get those qualifications so you can, one, help those people, but also put some more money in your pocket?
You know what? It's absolutely something I've thought about. It's sort of on my longer term roadmap. But I think actually, if I can catch and help the people, because, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are in this, as I said, this gray category where they haven't strayed into the alcoholism. If I can catch people there and help them because see, here's the thing, when you're in this category, you aren't publicly telling anybody I've got a problem, or, it becomes this very, very silent struggle as well, because you don't even want to tell your family sometimes that, I think this is getting a little bit too much to me. So if I can help people there, because this is really about service, right? This is really about helping. If I can help people there, then that avoids them moving into that other category. And, that's a huge win for me, and that's a huge win for them. So that's really, and there's AA, there's lots of solutions out there for people who really are in the alcoholic category. And again, I don't have firsthand knowledge of that. And I think that's why I love my program, that it's all about, it comes from firsthand experience. And I think you can then infuse that with, yourself, when you've lived through something, you're doing this stuff with podcasts, it really, I think, makes the difference, rather than just, what you've heard. But yeah, maybe in the future I will train up in that, but I've got enough going on right now to not need that.
Well, let's talk, you brought up AA. Let's talk about AA a little bit, because AA is interesting to me. I've never been to AA, never been to an AA meeting. I think I know a few people who have, but their whole philosophy is, a 12-step program, and you can never drink. The goal is, do not touch the bottle ever. You cannot do it. You are weak. For some people, I think that's true. But I think also there could be a better way. Like the idea of just completely cut this out of your life, it's toxic. There has to be a way to almost live with it, as opposed to, because it's so hard to live without it. There has to be a way to teach people how to drink responsibly. Literally, it says in all the ads. So what are your thoughts on AA and I guess the messaging behind AA? Because I'm also not an expert, and I've also never been through the program, so I don't necessarily understand fully. But it's from outside looking in, it seems like, this is a good program, but it seems like you're kind of going a little too hard to the paint. You make a basketball reference.
Again, for people, it works for many people, and I'm not going to diss that at all. If it works for you, then that's great. But the big problem I have with it is that it sort of puts alcohol in the driving seat, right? Because you have to say, I have no control. So the minute it comes into my body, I'm just going to go wild, and I'm going to drink 10 bottles of whiskey, and my family won't see me for days. And the thing that what I'm all about is knowing that you are in control, because the alcohol is just, if you look at it like this, it's just liquid. It's just liquid in a bottle. I mean, that's really all it is, right? And it's not living and breathing. It's just liquid in a bottle, and it's been fermented or whatever. But that's what it is. Got different taste. It requires us to pick it up. I mean, there's many steps. It's actually easier to not drink than to drink. You know, you've got to pick up the bottle. You have to pour it in. You have to put it in your mouth. You have to put it in. And so I think this whole concept of that having control is something that doesn't jive with me, because I get into more how we feel about it and what we're thinking about that and how it makes us feel and what is it disguising, right? So a lot of people, I say, in the corporate world, they drink to feel confident because they go into these big meetings and you know they don't feel confident, so that's why they're drinking. So I dig into that rather than saying the alcohol has all the power. No, you have all the power. Right? It's all up to what you do with it. And so that's, I guess, my big thing with AA. And also I don't like the idea of having to say, you know, I'm totally helpless and you know I'm going to have this forever. If people want to drink after going through, they can. Now I will say it requires more work, right? Because alcohol really really does make us feel great. It releases lots of dopamine and, you know, can make you feel really, really, really super. So it's harder to drink less. But that, you know, I started out not wanting to quit entirely. And there was this big celebration of the day. And I will say I had half a glass of wine, perfectly fine. Didn't really enjoy it, didn't really want it, but that's it. And it wasn't a big deal. And that's what I try to tell people. So don't make the booze a big deal.
Thank you very much for making it to the end of this clip of the Ambiguous Podcast Solution. Shout out to my host, Anna Charles, from the 90 Days Later podcast. Check all her info out in the description down below. Like, share, subscribe. You know, the works. Again, click for more content. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And thanks for supporting. Till next time.